Hey, Andy here from builderhottub.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about cheap swimming pool pumps versus expensive swimming pool pumps. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so if you're trying to navigate the minefield of a new swimming pool pump, hopefully by the end of this video, I'll give you some kind of insight why there's a huge price difference between certain models. Should you buy a cheap one? Should you spend more money? Well, hopefully again, by the end of this video, I'll given you enough information for you to be able to make that decision. Now, before we get going, always a great opportunity for me to say, please do subscribe to the channel, hit that notification icon to be notified when my videos go live. I do 2 long form videos like this every single week, a whole bunch of shorts, and everything on my channel focuses on DIY hot tubs, plunge pools, parts, and pretty much everything in between. Right, so expensive pump versus cheap pump. Where do we start? Well, like anything, there is a certain brand snobbery around swimming pool pumps. Like everything, you can buy a brand which is classed as more higher end, just like your cars or your motorbikes, or even your sneakers or trainers. Different brands are at different price points. So with that one kind of out the way, I'll brush that one away and we'll kind of focus on more of the pertinent features of a cheap pump versus an expensive pump. So firstly, expensive pumps, or I should say more expensive pumps, tend to be either dual speed or variable speed, whereas the cheaper pumps just tend to be a single speed. You should check that in your area you are compliant, because certain areas of the US, so for example in California, you're not allowed to have a single speed pump on your swimming pool as the main filtration pump. It has to be a variable speed. So do check the local regulations as well. In terms of the more expensive pumps, if they are variable speed, they can run anything up to around 80% more efficient than a single speed model. So it is worth bearing that in mind when you're trying to make the decision, should I buy a cheap pool pump or a more expensive pump? Build quality. Now, a more expensive pump will contain metals such as stainless steel. You might get some titanium parts and better quality thermoplastics. A cheaper pump will generally be made of cheaper metals and lower quality plastics as well. Now, one of the key features that you will find with a more expensive pump is the actual noise is less. So the decibel range of an expensive pump tends to be somewhere between 40 and 60 decibels, whereas a cheaper pump will be 70 decibels plus. So if you're looking for something that's nice and quiet, you do tend to have to spend a little bit more money to get that. The lifespan. So I'm generalizing here because I have used both cheap and expensive pumps, and I've had a mix of kind of lifespans of those. But if I'm generalizing, the lifespan of a more expensive high-end pump tends to be around the 8 to 12 years on a swimming pool, whereas the cheaper end of the market tends to be from 2 to 5 years. So you can see that you might buy cheap and buy twice. I think that there's a saying that goes something like that anyway. Features. Features is a big point of difference between a cheap pump and an expensive pump. An expensive pump, for example, might have built-in timers, built-in filtration cycles, built-in programming. It can have features such as self-diagnostics, whereas a cheap pump tends to have none of that, and it just tends to have on or off, and that's kind of the features of the pump. So you've really got to think, what do you want it to be able to do? If you're looking to be able to program filter cycles and you don't have a separate control system, then maybe that is a consideration, and a more expensive pump with that functionality is something that you should really look for. And finally, you should really look at the long-term cost or over its useful life of the pump. Is it going to be a case that you're going to get a payback in 3 or 4 years if you spend that extra on more features, more efficient pump over a cheap pump? I'll leave you to do the calculations on that. It really comes down to your own preference, your own budgets, of course, as well. What would I do? Well, my top tip is look for a lesser well-known brand that has the functionality that you're looking for, and you'll probably be able to make the savings without paying the additional for the brand privilege. And that would be my top tip, and that's certainly what I would be looking to do. So hopefully you found this short video useful. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. If you've liked this video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next video.